to Demigod Debut. I am Mal, your lifelong Percy Jackson fan.
I'm Julie, your born-again Percy Jackson virgin.
And this is a podcast about how Julie is reading the Percy Jackson books for the first time in order to remain my friend. Initially, it was that I couldn't be friends with her if she did not read them, but now we have discovered that we need this scheduled hangout time in order to keep in touch.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is sad. We're also joined by my friend from college, Christina. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your Demigod debut. Like, how did you get into Percy Jackson?
Yes, I like to say that Percy Jackson was the book gateway drug for me. It's really what started the lifetime nerd that I continue to be to this day. So I read the books for the first time in elementary school, and I think it was around the time the fifth book was coming out. So I remember having to wait for that, which was crazy. And I was that girl that had all the Percy Jackson fan art saved on Pinterest because I got on Tumblr a little bit too late, but yeah, I love Percy Jackson. It remains my number one obsession to this day. That will never change. Even as I get older and, I'm like, maybe that should change, but nah. So, Julie, we're so happy to have you and love sharing all things Percy Jackson. And yeah, excited to chat Sea of Monsters. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, that's me too. Like the other day, one of my friends was like, "What are you gonna do like when this kind of fixation on Percy Jackson ends?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Like 15 years running? Like I don't what do you mean?" And
It's not going anywhere.
Well, and now it's the Percy Jackson resurgence. So like
exactly.
we had to wait this long for it to get to this level of popularity, and it's only going up.
Exactly. I'm coming at this podcast with kind of a weird energy today. I got like 2 hours of sleep last night because the heat in my apartment is broken, and not in like the fun way it was doing this winter where there was no heat. No, I am podcasting to you today from the personal sauna that is my bedroom. So the hall thermometer says that it is somewhere between 80 and 90 in our living room. So very, very warm. And like you walk inside my bedroom and it literally feels like walking outside in July. So hello from the summer, I guess. It's very hot and really putting the blood, sweat, and tears into this podcast today, like emphasis on the sweat because my knees are so sweaty, like the backs of my knees.
Oh, so sorry.
Oh God, did you call your landlord?
We did have a guy come like 15 minutes ago to mess with it, and I think he turned it. It's still so hot. I think he managed to get it turned off, but he was like, "Yeah, I was thinking about just coming tomorrow," but then I thought, "No, probably not." I was like, "Yeah, probably not is right.
Oh,
probably
God.
not is right." So it is warm.
Praying for you.
And in other weird things, there was a solar eclipse today.
Yes.
I have been out of body since it happened, honestly. Like I'm just like floating above where I exist. I'm like, what happened? What my eyes hurt? My soul feels weird. Like,
well, because you were in like the path of totality, right?
yes. Oh my gosh, it was so insane.
Yeah, Julie was too. I wasn't, but
It was a little cloudy, but it peeked through a little bit. That's the best you're gonna get, honestly. But it was still cool.
Dang. Yeah, it was really right up until the last second if the clouds were gonna cover it, and they like parted at the last second.
Oh, everything aligned,
I literally sat there like this with my mouth wide open the whole time, just like.
It was really cool.
Kind of wild that Christina, you and I were together in 2017 for that eclipse, and like here we are again getting together on Eclipse Day in 2024. So it's tradition now. See you in 2044.
See you there. And 2340, the next time it happens here in Texas.
2340. That's not a real year.
No, it's not. I think I made that up.
All right. Anyway, so Sea of Monsters, chapters 5 through 7. Oh, Christina, poll. What are your thoughts on the book Sea of Monsters? Just generally. Spoiler free, of course.
Okay. Spoiler free. So I will tell you up front. I enjoy Sea of Monsters more now as an adult when I've gone back and read it, but growing up, this was my least favorite book. The vibes were off. It was like hard to read, to get through. There are some really good moments. But actually going back and reading this section, I was like, oh, actually, this is my least favorite part of the entire series.
Like these 3 chapters are your least favorite part?
These 3 chapters are my least favorite part. And I was like,
glad you could be here.
What are the odds?
You're so welcome for sharing all the, unfiltered thoughts here. And I think I finally put it into words why. I think it's because especially during this section, it's like really the only time we're at Camp Half-Blood in this book for like any like extended period of time. And it doesn't feel like home. I mean, like Chiron's gone. Mr. D is like 10 times worse than normal. Like normally I'm like, haha, he sucks. And now I'm like, actually, you suck. Like, what are you doing? And then the other guy, Tantalus, who I don't even know if that's how you say it. And then like it's not safe. Like everything with Tyson, Percy's like struggling, obviously. So it's like literally these three parts. Like it's not the comfort, it's not home the way that it feels in other books. But again, as an adult, I appreciate the rest of the book. There's some really good moments, and I really like the development we get from the characters in this one. I think it's really important to get some like very foundational aspects of who they are and where their like journeys have to like go. So now I do like it. It's still my least favorite book. Sorry, anybody that is their favorite book, but
Yeah, it was also my least favorite, but I think that is changing now that I am getting older. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. All right, cool. So the worst 3 chapters in the series. Let's do
let's
it.
go.
So Julie, you've survived the worst. It only goes up from here.
Truly.
It's incredible. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so chapter 5, I get a new cabin mate. And so much like Christina said, Percy also starts off this chapter by like comparing the way camp feels to how it feels when like someone comes into your room and messes with your stuff. And that's how I feel right now in my room. Like now that it's 96 degrees, it is wrong and I don't want to be here. And I like his little joke. It's like someone messed with my favorite place and I was not, well, a happy camper. Like classic dad joke. We love to see it.
Boo hiss.
And then, we get our little camp tour. Like Percy gives Tyson a little tour as a catch up for, any of the crazy people who might have started reading at book 2. And we're reminded again of the pact with the big 3 gods that they can't have any more kids, but then, Zeus had Talia and Poseidon had Percy. And I have a quote from the book here because I think it's funny and because I want to talk about it. Here it is. Quote, Thalia had gotten herself turned into a pine tree when she was 12. Me, I was doing my best not to follow her example. I had nightmares about what Poseidon might turn me into if I were ever on the verge of death. Plankton, maybe, or a floating patch of kelp. And so, okay, Percy is just like listing things here that have to do, like that are associated with his father. And so then I was like, okay, is the pine tree a symbol of Zeus? Because I hadn't heard that. So I did a little Google and I know like the lightning bolt is a symbol, the eagle's a symbol, and they were saying like the oak tree is sometimes associated with Zeus, but where did the pine tree come? Like why is she a pine tree and not an oak tree?
Maybe they're indigenous to the area and they said pine tree. The tree that we see in the show is not at all what I had in mind. I think when I read it, I did think of an oak tree. And so it's actually interesting you point that out because the show really took me aback because I was picturing something really tall and like looks more like a protector of a camp.
Oh, I pictured for sure like a Christmas tree.
Oh. Okay, Julie, did you have any kind of like tree in your head when you were reading this, or did you do it correctly?
Just a pine tree. My campus is like surrounded by pine trees, so I guess I just thought there's like a really big one that I walk by every time when I have to go into the office. So I guess I kind of pictured that one. I haven't watched any of the show, so
Okay, and then I have a kind of silly, kind of morbid, hypothetical question for you both. What do you think your parents would turn you into if you died?
Like my earthly parents, or if I had a godly parent?
Either, both, I don't know.
I think my mom would turn me into a sunflower.
Oh, that would be nice.
That's so sweet.
I really like sunflowers, so I think she would turn me into. And my aunt had like a garden with a bunch of sunflowers, so I think she'd turn me into a sunflower.
That's so. I was trying to think of something that my parents keep in their like living room year round, and the only thing I could think of was like a clock or a picture frame, just to like be like, yes, this is our daughter, but it's like more than just a picture of our daughter. This is like actually our daughter because they have like a whole collage wall of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it would probably be something like that they could just like hang up forever.
Have you seen those picture frames where it's all digital? You just like sync images to it online.
Yes.
It could be like that, like just
yes.
ever revolving pictures.
But if it's actually you, then it could just be a video screen of you.
A screen, yeah.
And could talk to them.
Perpetually zooming in or something. Like your Zoom.
Living in my little, like, oh my gosh, Ella Enchanted, like the book. That's me. Wait, actually, I take it back. I will become a book because I think that fits me better. My parents should have the
I
foresight.
feel like, yeah, that fits you.
My head in a big book.
I don't really have a good answer to this question, even though I'm the one who asked it, but I was thinking a lot about how the last time I was home, my dad came to pick me up from the airport, and then as I was like getting out of the car and walking in, my dad was like, "Hey, check out our new porch plants that your mom got. Like, aren't they great?" Like, just he was so excited to show me the porch plants, and I was like, whatever maybe if my parents turned me into one of their porch plants, like they would be like, "Hey, here's this porch plant that used to be our daughter." Like anytime someone came over. But then again, my family has killed so many of those porch plants, like that's why they had to get new ones. And so I don't think I would survive very long as a porch plant.
Oh my gosh. But it'd be magic. It'd be magic. So maybe they couldn't kill you.
Yeah, I would be a magic porch plant. But the tree did get poisoned. So even magic plants can get, I feel like maybe an inanimate object like a book is the right move, because can't kill a book, even though my copy of the Sea of Monsters is like ripped into down the middle.
Well, and Tom Riddle's diary gets like super destroyed, so I guess you can kill a book.
You can burn it.
Oh, so you're thinking the book you'd get turned into is like Horcrux adjacent.
I'm thinking if it has my soul in it, it might be.
What does that mean? What does Horcrux mean?
Oh yeah, she's not a Harry Potter person either.
Well, I just spoiled one of the books.
I'm never gonna read them, so it's fine. I just don't know what that word means.
It took so much to get her to read Percy Jackson. She's not gonna read Harry Potter.
You picked the right choice. Harry versus Percy. Percy would take him any day.
Because you should absolutely pick the book to read based on who would win in a fight, like which protagonist would win in a fight.
That's how you should pick any book.
Agreed.
Next thing that happens in the book, they come up to Chiron, who is packing to leave. It's just a bummer all around. Like, Tyson keeps calling him a pony as our like comedic relief, but like Annabeth is crying and Percy's like, "I know who did this. It was that asshole Luke," and Kronos, and like, "Why is Zeus punishing you?" And Chiron, does the whole, "Well, Zeus has to punish someone and I didn't prevent it and I couldn't cure it." And this is just like the worst. It's the worst when the people who are in power are like, "Well, someone has to pay for this," and then they like punish the wrong person, especially in this situation, because it is Zeus's fault, because he did not take the Kronos threat seriously when Percy like brought it to him in the last book.
You would really like deprive the camp of like the person that trains the heroes and can get them into battle. Like, I feel like punishment in this situation is maybe not the answer. Like, you are literally taking one of the most valuable resources from the camp.
Well, and like, I have my issues with Chiron as an adult figure in the books. I feel like, any adult that like willingly sends children into like the thick of things, like, gives me the ick a little bit. But kind of like Percy says, Chiron's the closest thing that like Annabeth has ever had to a father. Like, you are taking away these kids' father figure. Like, if you're not going to step up as the gods, like, you can't also then take away basically their stepfather, their father who stepped up.
Yes.
And I absolutely will be making a meme of Chiron wearing a shirt that says, "I'm not a stepfather." Yes. Father stepped
up. Yes. As soon as you said like father stepped up, I was like, meme potential right there.
Throw it on Twitter.
Oh my gosh, you should get on Twitter. Does our podcast have a Twitter?
Our podcast has a Twitter and we have 4 followers, and literally the only people who ever like stuff is me and Christina.
Oh my gosh, I don't follow our Twitter.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, now I have to.
It's fine. Yeah. Elon Musk really ran that place into the ground.
Much like the new activities director.
Oh, there we go.
Exactly. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
That was good.
way to bring it back to the book.
I hated that guy.
I love the way the Chiron's like, "Well, maybe they won't destroy the camp as quickly as I fear." Like,
let's be realistic. Come on.
He also does his infuriating little like, "The tree's gonna die unless," no, I can't say. Like, it bugs me less in this one because they do give them a straight answer much quicker. Like, we learn in these 3 chapters like what it is that we need to go look for. But Chiron, if you could give them a straight answer for once.
But that's one thing I think we've talked about this before with Percy, like, again, going back and reading it as an adult, like, Percy is not a stupid kid, but he comes off as stupid so many times when he's like, "Huh? What? Where are we going? What's happening?" It's because nobody tells him anything. They're always like
Exactly.
not telling him the whole story, or like, God forbid he doesn't know one myth, except he actually really does. And I'm like, literally, if you just finish your sentence, or of course he's gonna have questions, let him be. Or tell him straight up.
Yeah. See, you also have the moment where Chiron makes Annabeth swear on the sticks that she's going to keep Percy from danger. And I think this is our first swear on the sticks. They don't really explain what this means, but it's big time serious. And he also reminds Annabeth like of the prophecy. He's like, remember the prophecy. And Percy's like, oh, is this the one that might be about me? Cool, great, thanks. Like, thanks for letting me know. They just don't say anything. Chiron is also heading to Florida. You know who else is in Florida? Sensing a theme. That's all I had to say about Florida, but you know, Grover is also in Florida, so
I know. I was like, Disney World?
Oh no.
Oh, I thought you were making like a pop culture reference. I was like, who's in Florida right now? I was like, I don't, maybe they're hanging out.
Yeah, so then we go to dinner, and I know Percy gives us an explanation as to why Annabeth is leading her cabin, but like she's 13. That is a baby. That is a baby. And he says that she's not the oldest in her cabin. And so I'm thinking of these like high school aged people who are having to answer to a 13-year-old. Like I would be so annoyed if I was in high school and this little insufferable 13-year-old is like telling me what to do.
It did just help save the world.
But they're probably just as
So.
prideful and like knowledgeable
That is true, but
and insufferable as Annabeth is.
right, exactly. I'd be like, okay, I am also a child of Athena, and you want me to listen to this 7th grader? Like, just because she went on one quest, just because she's been here for like 6 years, like, she's a baby.
That's a good point.
Also, Clarice is the head of her cabin, and Clarice is only like 15.
I hate Clarice so much.
No! I'm a Clarice apologist. Like, I'm sorry, she's just a mean lesbian.
No, I don't like it.
Also, okay, the sign that they put on her bag.
Moo girl.
That's hilarious.
It's hilarious. It could have been funnier. I'm like, really?
No, that's what I was saying. Like, I'm like, it feels like it's not even that good. Like, I'm like, you could have made a better cow-related...
They should have been meaner.
Yeah, you could have made a better cow-related joke.
Maybe Uncle Rick was like, I can't do this because that's teaching kids how to bully each other, and so he just picked a lame joke.
I mean, I guess, but...
I mean, he taught them how to bully each other in the first one when, like, she's about to stick Percy's head in the toilet, so...
That is true. That is true.
Come on, I want some bully revenge. I love a good revenge story on a bully.
Maybe it's the Clarice apologist in me, but...
It is.
I
don't even know what you're gonna say.
I don't even feel like she blew the fight with the cows. Like, I think she was doing her best. Like, she needed some help, yeah, and she got that help, but I don't think it was like Clarice was absolutely blowing it and we had to step in. Like, I feel like she was just outnumbered, and why are we making fun of her?
Because she's a meanie.
Exactly.
Listen, Mallory,
you're outnumbered.
I support women's wrongs. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
Here's my thing. I straddle the line because I can see Mallory's point, but I never liked Clarice until I got older. Again, went back and read them, and I was like, I empathize with where you are, being a kid of Aries, and then obviously other stuff that happens, but there are other stuff that happens that keep me firmly on the Clarice is not my favorite. I support her. I think she's a good, complex character. We get more, but as of right now, I'm like, I think a little humbling is okay.
It's also kind of wild just how many camper characters that they introduce here in these chapters. Like, we get Charles Beckendorf leading Hephaestus, and Travis and Connor Stoll leading Hermes. Love, Mr. D, terrible. Tantalus,
Worse.
new, also terrible.
Worse.
And, you know, we won't get into the mythological origins of Tantalus because he kind of gets into it later, but it's very funny the way he can't eat or drink anything, and it literally like just shoots away from him whenever he tries.
Also, in what world were they like, let's put this guy around kids?
No, exactly.
Let's do that. That's a good idea.
Whose idea was this?
What did he do the last time he was around kids?
He's not passing the background check. He's not passing it.
Well, yeah, and like his first deed as like ruler of this camp, because he's not ruler. He's what's
activities
his job?
Director.
Activities director. Thank you. His first thing is activities director is to reinstate chariot races, which in the past led to 3 deaths and 26 mutilations.
Killed kids.
But also, you can't tell me that no one has ever died during capture the flag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, surely, like they're kids playing around with real weapons. But honestly, as much as I love Capture the Flag, I'm glad we're getting a different kind of camp activity. But that might also contribute to why the vibes kind of seem off.
They're so harsh. And I also like, I just think about interpersonal conflict where I'm like, one conversation would solve all of your problems. Annabeth, be honest about why you don't like Tyson. Let's get that out in the open. And I know that later on in these chapters they have like they kind of get back on level ground, but it's like that's off. So Percy feels like at odds at this place where he like I really feel like he came back in the Lightning theme and was like, yeah, I know I'm cool. I just saved the world. And he was fully expecting to come back into camp this year. He's like, I'm gonna hang out with my girl, who's not my girl, but like she's my girl. And I'm gonna be like that cool kid now who knows stuff. I'm in a second year, I'm not a first year baby anymore. And then it's like obliterated immediately. He's in a new thing that he's like not as good at. Or I don't know. I just have so many thoughts. It makes me sad. And this chapter, sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but these birds, I think, are the scariest monster for me out of this entire series. I don't like the pokey birds. They're so freaky.
Oh, that's a hot take.
Have y'all ever seen The Birds? Like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, no, that movie is
traumatizing. It's so scary.
We'll have to have a movie night. Just required viewing. Yeah.
Birds. Okay, great. Sounds terrible.
It's a Hitchcock, of course it is. He loves tormenting women.
I hate the way that, like, I understand, being wary of Tyson because, like, he is kind of a monster, but I also love Tyson, but also I'm like, okay, they don't know Tyson yet, so they're allowed to be wary.
I love Tyson.
Fine. But the way that Mr. D and Tantalus are, like, talking about him being like, maybe he should stay in the stables or, like, maybe we can stick him in the Hermes cabin, and the Hermes cabin's kind of like, oh, please don't. And, like, it's sad. But then, Tyson gets claimed by Poseidon, which is fun, but Tantalus, of course, immediately is like, well, I see the family resemblance. What is your problem? What is your problem?
He's hangry. That's what it is.
He is hangry, and this man should not be around children. Because what? But then, like, so many complicated emotions for Percy. He's like, I have a monster for a half-brother. I have this new cabin mate. Like, also, I can't help but think that this is Poseidon's way of answering Percy's little prayer, because when he, like, sacrifices the pizza at dinner, he's like, please, like, Dad, send me some help. And then immediately, like, Poseidon claims Tyson. He's like, okay, here's your help. Like, you got a brother.
I made that connection for the first time reading this back this week of like, whoa, he said, I bet, here you go, because I agree. I think that was definitely Poseidon.
All right, any more thoughts on chapter 5?
I have one.
Okay.
It's this stupid line, because we talked about this before. I gotta find it exactly what it said, because it pissed me off. It was talking about the pact for the 3 powerful gods not to have children anymore. And they're like, we were more powerful than regular half-bloods. We were too unpredictable. When we got mad, we tended to cause problems like World War II. Like, that was just Hitler getting mad. That's all it was.
Right.
I was like, I can't with the with the revisionism, but I come to expect it. But I was reading that this morning and I was like, what the?
Yeah, it's very much giving, like, elementary school levels of understanding history. Like,
yeah.
Which is why they chose to brush over that when they explained it in the show. They were like, no, we don't need to open that can of worms, which I wholeheartedly support.
I didn't think they were going to mention it at all. I was so shocked when he was like, oh yeah, World War II. I was like, whoa, I thought we were going to brush over that, because almost all of the, like, historical references, like, miss. Like, for me, every single time I'm like, not great.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're trying to do, but also maybe don't.
Oh, I also thought it was interesting that Percy went to military schools, like multiple, and got kicked out of military school. Seems like a very difficult thing to do. Like, based on what I know about military boarding schools, it doesn't seem to fit with his character. I don't know.
Tell me more about the schools Percy attended versus, like, the things he's told us about things that happened. Like, was he at a military school when he accidentally knocked his class into a shark tank? Was he at a military school when he shot a cannon at a school bus? Like,
that feels more likely. I mean, cannon.
Yeah, the cannon at a school bus feels like military school.
Right.
And because he's unsafe with weapons, they had to kick him out.
I like to imagine he said one comment too sassy, and his superiors were just like, "I've had enough."
Like,
of
we
you.
can't
Get
we
out."
can't handle
He
this
was
level
like,
of sass. We are not prepared.
Yeah, truly.
I feel like poor Sally was just sticking him wherever it would take him.
Went to military school. It feels like a Gabe move. Gabe was like, send him to military school. I feel like Sally went and sent him to military school.
Interesting. Interesting.
Maybe he paid for it and that.
We need backstory.
Much to consider there.
Someone read a fanfic.
Yeah.
Just about that.
So, chapter 6?
Demon pigeons attack.
Demon pigeons attack.
Great title.
Freaking hate them.
So Percy saying Tyson is like giggling to himself and being like, Percy is my brother, and like
That's so cute.
so
I'm
cute.
sorry. I love Tyson.
I love Tyson. I love Tyson. And it's also kind of funny the way Percy's like trying to defend Tyson, but then also when he's not around, he's like, Tyson's not my real brother, but then also he's like to Annabeth, he's like, he's not my brother, but he's not a monster. Like he
Pick one.
has so many complicated feelings. Like this is a lot for a 13-year-old to have to deal with.
Complicated.
So he and Annabeth plan to team up for the chariot race because they're #dream team. But Percy and Annabeth fight because Annabeth has beef with Cyclopes. Again, hate that that's the plural of Cyclops. I want to say Cyclopses, but then I sound
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I will not be following that.
Cyclopses. That's what I'm saying. It sounds better.
Maybe it'll be like me saying both Talia and then immediately saying Thalia. I'll just say both. Be like Cyclopses, Cyclopes.
I wasn't gonna comment on
I
it
know,
earlier.
I know.
Yeah.
Because okay, I have said Talia my entire life, and then the show all of a sudden is like Thalia, and so now they just like both live in my brain, and who knows what's gonna come out. The fight that they have feels so classic. The way Annabeth is like, well, maybe you should design a chariot with him. Fine, and then she storms off. Like very Disney Channel original movie.
I was just about to say, did you ever watch a show called Sonny with a Chance with Demi Lovato?
Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
It's Sonny and I can't
Chad
remember.
Dylan Cooper.
Yes, yes.
Fine. Good. Yep.
I loved them so much. It's very, very Annabeth Percy coded.
Oh, I
need an AU.
I shipped Chad Dylan Cooper and Sonny
Oh,
hard.
absolutely.
Oh, everyone
Yeah,
did.
you
They
had
gave
to.
it to us.
Absolutely.
It was the original enemies to lovers. The way
Yes!
that the blueprint.
100%. Oh, we also meet Selena Beauregard here. Love. And she teaches Percy to ride the Pegasi, which he says is the only kind of flying he can do without making Zeus mad, because his dad created horses, so it's like neutral ground. But his dad also created Pegasi. Like, the original immortal Pegasus is the child of Medusa and Poseidon. And, like, he was born when Medusa got beheaded by Perseus.
Why don't you think any monsters popped out of her neck when Percy Jackson killed Medusa?
Because
She had not recently conceived?
Yes. And that, like, brings up a lot of questions about the anatomy, I guess, because if your head, like, we're not going to follow that train of thought. we're not gonna follow that anymore.
Terrible visuals.
Lot of weird births in mythology, though, involving heads and like Athena, like
that's my favorite one. It sounds pretty like painless, just like
just bursting from Zeus's head. Okay. Also, Percy just very quickly glosses over the fact that he can understand the Pegasi, like he could understand the zebra in the zoo truck. Like that's kind of a.
I love that. That's so cool.
It is very cool, but it's also like what? You're just okay. And then Tyson also wants to ride the Pegasi. The Pegasi don't like him. The only one who likes Tyson really is Beckendorf.
We love Beckendorf.
Love Beckendorf.
I literally in my notes I wrote Beckendorf with a heart because we love him.
Charles Beckendorf, what a guy. And so he like starts teaching Tyson to make stuff, which I think is great because I think Tyson could use a job and he could use some things outside of Percy. And so Percy kind of does camp things. None of them really seem to be going well. And then he does border patrol and sits on the hill. And like as he sits there, just gets more and more pissed off about Luke, the usual. I too do that. I just sit there and I like work myself up.
Means you gotta go train with a sword.
Usually
something.
I just like make myself really anxious more than I make myself mad.
Whack some things.
Gotta go train with a sword about it. Percy has more dreams about Grover and he wants to tell Annabeth, but he's like, I can't tell Annabeth because she's gonna think I'm crazy. And like you said, so many things could be fixed if they would just have a conversation.
Talk.
Like we see later, when he approaches her, she's like, you're trying to distract me. And then she like obviously understands parts of the dream that like he doesn't. And I'm like, if we had had this conversation sooner.
No, my thing is like, I think this sets up like Annabeth really is too prideful to take a beat and be like, hey, this is my friend Percy. We're fighting right now and I'm really upset with him. But like he has an empathy link with Grover.
Well, she doesn't know that yet because the empathy link hasn't even. We're not quite there. We're
Right.
almost to that dream.
There's no empathy link. What's that? I've never heard of that.
Well, no. It happens in these chapters, so it's not like a spoiler. But I'm like,
Are you sure?
yeah, I'm positive. The Grover dream, where Grover's in the wedding dress, which is iconic. The Cyclops that's chasing him thinks he's a lady Cyclops and wants to marry him. And Grover also says he has it, and it smells like really powerful nature magic, so it lures satyrs, and then Polyphemus eats them. And this is the empathy link dream. So this is when Grover is like, I made this empathy link.
When he clarifies the terms and conditions about this empathy link.
Yes, about like you will die if I die. But honestly, I feel like if I could do an empathy link, I'd want one with all the besties. Like, if you die, I die. We can appear in each other's dreams.
It's like the same as sharing your location.
Yeah, it's exactly. If this is Find My Friends.
Yeah, but Find My Friends' emotions.
Exactly. It's like step 1, we share our locations with each other. Step 2, we share our emotions with each other.
Sure.
Like Percy and Grover, besties of all time. Then Percy goes to tell Annabeth about his dream, and come on. One, why would Percy make up something this important to distract you from a chariot race that literally does not matter? He wouldn't. And also, like, Percy, like the level of mythological knowledge he has. Like, why would Percy know enough about like the fleece and empathy links and things in order to concoct this elaborate story? Like, that's a you thing. You're the strategist.
For her to be like, oh, you just happened to find the one thing that we need.
He did just happen to find the right thing, actually. He did. So
but like he wouldn't come up with that and be like, I'm gonna like be really clever and like manipulate her. No, he's not. Percy doesn't have a second thought. He's like, thought 1.
Yes, exactly.
Grover.
And Percy's thought 1 is usually a good thought, but it's not
the third step in the plan. Like hers is.
Yeah, he can be cunning and manipulative, but he's not yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. So, chariot race, demon birds, Annabeth's doing great. Percy's just kind of trying to vibe. The pigeons start dive bombing the stands, just like you wanted, Julie.
Yes.
I know you wanted a pigeon dive bomb.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
And, Clarice keeps driving. Percy and Annabeth stop to fight. And they're the stymphalian birds. Is that how you say that?
No idea.
Yeah. Hercules used like bells to chase them away, so Annabeth is like, let's play them some of Chiron's music.
I have a bone to pick with her about this.
Yes, this is a very like middle school choice because like, haha, the music that adults listen to is bad, but it's Dean Martin. Like, that's
Dean Martin, a member of the Rat Pack? Are you joking? Dean Martin's a genius. I'm so mad. I love Dean Martin.
See, this is one of those scenes that I can only like imagine what they're gonna do in the show of like, how are we going to make this modern? Like, are they gonna play like Backstreet Boys or like, not that it's bad, but like to the youngins, they're like, haha, that's so cringe. Like, what if
they should play Friday by Rebecca Black. They should
do
do
we
that
think
one.
Chiron would listen to Rebecca Black? Because I could get on board with that.
That's the only problem, but I'm trying to think of like a truly horrible song.
Okay. You get one song to scare away the stymphalian birds. What is it? Like, what is the worst song?
Through the Fire and the Flames. And not because it's a bad song, because it's loud. From Guitar Hero.
Oh, from Guitar Hero.
There's this really crazy guitar, the whole thing is like a 10-minute guitar, like heavy rock metal song, and it's very loud, and I can only listen to the first like 2 minutes before I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
So
it's great.
Sounds kind of like the music my father listens to in the car, and I think that would absolutely be
heavy metal, maybe.
My choice as well, because he's very heavy metal. I feel like is the move, and no hate to anyone who enjoys heavy metal, but it is not for me. Meatloaf is your choice?
I listened to a Meatloaf song with my mom. We were driving to like go pick up my sister when we were moving her like across the state, and it went on for like 8 minutes. And I'm like, how long is this song? Like, we were driving through like 2 tunnels. I'm like, I can't listen to this anymore. Like, why is this song 8 minutes long? It was some I don't remember which Meatloaf song it was, but it was like torture. I was like, Chiron would listen to Meatloaf. So that's what I'm gonna pick.
I'd like to think Chiron like on this like line of thinking. Maybe he's actually an emo kid at heart, and he's just sitting in his room, like with his doors shut, listening to like Linkin Park or Meatloaf or AC/DC or whatever, and he's just like sitting there like
Three Doors Down. He's got it on.
Three Doors Down would be great. Nickelback. They're playing Nickelback.
Photograph. That's what it is.
Actually, though, I feel like Friday by Rebecca Black was also an iconic answer. Like, I want to circle back to that one. That was a good one.
I think that would work, yeah. The only problem is I don't know if Chiron would listen to it, but I think it would work.
But okay, back to the text. Do either of you know enough about Dean Martin to like make a guess as to what song this is referencing? Like a bunch of guys, violins and guys moaning in Italian. Like I mean, the only real like Dean Martin song I can like conjure in
That's
my head
Amore,
right now.
that
That's the only one that I like know off the top of my head. But I'm like, is there Italian in that song?
Kinda, yeah. Other Dean Martin songs I know he doesn't Italian.
Is it That's Amore? Okay. Maybe it is.
Like Everybody Loves Somebody, he's not singing in Italian. Oh, Volare. This is all. Let's see if it'll play it. Read that one.
Yeah.
It's not really violins though, but he is singing in Italian. He has a nice voice. I like his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nothing about that is bad. Like
I think it just had to be loud. They should play New York, New York.
That makes me think of Yankees games. Yeah.
Oh, they won. They just beat the Marlins.
Hey, you're outnumbered by Astros fans.
Astros just got killed by the Rangers, so I have been humbled down here in Dallas.
I know. I wore an Astros hat to softball for like the entire first season I played, and so I got the nickname Houston because like Houston Astros. And I went to softball this weekend. They were like, "Houston, where's the Astros hat?" And I was like, "The Astros and I are on a bit of a break because they're embarrassing me." So I was wearing my Percy Jackson musical hat because Percy Jackson never lets me down. And
it's like when the Saints fans used to wear paper bags over their heads when they were really bad in like the early 2000s. The fans would wear paper bags over their heads to the games.
That's so funny, but also that's loyalty. That is commitment because you're still going. You just don't want to be seen.
Yeah, they're still paying the money. It's like the 300 fans that show up to the Oakland games now. It's so heartbreaking.
I know, that's a big bummer, that whole thing. Okay, I have one more thought on the pigeons. So as they're flying away, the Apollo archers like shoot them and they like die. And then in chapter 7, they talk about like eating them as part of dinner.
Ugh.
And I just want to know, like, why did they not disintegrate? Like what? Because even like Percy says when he swung his sword at them, they like evaporate into dust and feathers. So like, how come the ones that got shot with arrows didn't?
Maybe Riptide is just special that way. I don't know.
Any other bird thoughts from
Yes.
either of you?
Did you know those stymphalian birds? Their poop is poisonous. I read that because I looked it up. I was like, what the hell are these birds? Their poop is poisonous.
I did know that.
These are just the demon birds, indeed. I don't like the birds because they're stabby. Again, going back to Alfred Hitchcock, I don't like, Mallory knows this, I don't like small stabby violence. Like sword violence is one thing. Like sure, swashbuckle, like stab someone in the gut, but knife violence, anything small enough, like no, absolutely not. And can you just imagine being assaulted by 100 knives all over your body, but also wings and these freaky birds with freaky eyes? I cannot imagine anything more terrifying. Like Cyclops, fine, roast me over a fire, eat me, whatever. Like or like I don't know what a minotaur. Like actually, okay, he has horns. That's kind of stabby. But like I just these birds are so freaky to me for so many reasons. But like it's the stabby beak violence. I think I might just have a fear of birds. Actually, that I'm
birds aren't real, so it's okay.
That could be.
They're government spy devices.
Birds aren't real. Okay.
They're drones.
They're so funny. In college, I got really into that meme, and I thought it was so funny, and I wanted to buy all the hats and the t-shirts until I saw like some people were really serious, and then it turned into this huge right-wing conspiracy, and I was like, okay, I don't actually want to associate with this because I think it's funny and ironic, not because I think the government is trying to like sick bird spies on its people, and so I just had to distance myself. But have you ever seen a baby pigeon?
No, and I live in New York City where there's tons of pigeons, and I've never seen. They're always fat, and they're always like so kickable. Like I I don't condone like animal cruelty or anything, but like I want to drop kick a pigeon so bad. Like they just look
Canceled.
like they're just round ball shaped.
I'm canceling you for this take.
Yeah, we're gonna get fined by PETA.
Our podcast got canceled by PETA.
How do you think PETA feels about metal birds?
I don't know. Is it like a recycling thing, maybe?
So, into this chapter, Clarice is the winner.
Boo.
Tantalus says we have to punish the troublemakers who ruined the race. Like, sir, what are you talking about?
Umbridge. Sorry, Julie. I know that doesn't track, but like Umbridge levels of terrible, terrible teacher leaders, adults.
Yeah.
Can't.
Any other chapter 6 thoughts before we do 7?
Tantalus is a little bitch. That's all I have to say.
It's a good way to sum it up.
Agreed. So, chapter 7, I accept gifts from a stranger. The way that Tantalus is like, the birds were just minding their own business, but Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson distracted them with their bad chariot driving. Like, and also, okay, this, like, he's not even trying to hide that, like, he has beef with them 3 in particular, because it is said that Annabeth has a cabin mate who was doing the same role as Tyson. Like, why is that cabin mate not also punished with them? Like, why are we
Can you imagine being that kid of like
I'm not even important enough to be punished.
kind of sad.
Pour one out for unnamed Athena camper. They really put in the work for this race, and then I mean, not that they wanted to get, you know, KP duty probably, but
Give them some good quality bonding time to rehash everything. And
yeah, and if we had unnamed Athena camper there, then it would have just like messed with the vibe, and so we're not
be
gonna,
awkward.
Yeah. And also like, oh no, the guy who was sentenced to eternal punishment being unfair? Shocking. Whoever would have seen that coming? Crazy. I like that Percy says that this punishment gives them a common enemy and some time to talk, because never underestimate the power of a common enemy. Like, one of my best friends in college, she and I became friends because we realized, oh, you hate her? I hate her too. And then we became best friends. So, you know, Percy finally gets to talk about his dream, which is good, and it is revealed that the thing that Grover has found is the Golden Fleece. And so last week when I was doing all that talking about Jason, and you were like, oh, Jason and the Golden Fleece, I was like, I ruined it. I spoiled another thing for Julie. But that's fine.
Nah.
And Annabeth says that the Grey sisters told Jason where to find the fleece, which must have been where I got the idea that they did that. But then, like, last week I was saying, when I Googled it, I couldn't find any reference of them doing that, only that they had helped Perseus find either Medusa or the items he needed to slay Medusa. Like, couldn't find anything about them helping Jason. But she also tells the story of how the fleece came to be. And I have to say, a line that lives rent-free in my head is when Annabeth is like, oh, well, the ram, like, carried, what's his name, Cadmus, and Europa fell off across the way, but that's not important. And Percy goes, it's probably important to her. Like,
it was so funny. So funny. It was my favorite line of the whole, like, section so far. It's hilarious. It's probably important to her.
Like, I feel like he just, like, he has to antagonize Annabeth. Like, it is built into him that he has to antagonize her.
Because he doesn't know how to flirt or tell her that he loves her.
He's so mean. I'm like, you're very important to me, and I don't know what to do with that, so, like, let me be mean
Let me
to
be
you.
mean to you.
It's not the way to go about things. It has never once worked.
Very middle school.
TBD if it works for Percy and Annabeth, because I certainly don't know the answer to that.
Who knows? Yeah, point being, we can go save Grover and get the fleece all at once. And Annabeth is like,
What are the odds?
this is a little too perfect. Because, you know, somebody has to point out that this is a little too perfect. The coincidences are coincidencing, and it's a little too perfect. But I'll allow it. You know, and we explained the Sea of Monsters, how the Sea of Monsters is actually the Bermuda Triangle, like Julie discovered last week upon some Googling of the coordinates. Very smart move from Percy to plan to ask Tantalus to approve the quest, like, in front of everyone. 10 out of 10. When he does, he's like, I know where the Golden Fleece is, and he proves that he was doing more in social studies than just staring at Annabeth's picture, because he's like, the numbers, they're coordinates, and the campers, you know, eventually pressure Tantalus into giving a quest, but surprise, surprise, he does not give it to Percy and Annabeth. He gives it instead to Clarice. I'm very happy for her. I know you two will not share that sentiment, but
Here's my thing. Character development is important. But also, I like to think about for unnamed campers that get no attention. Like, they have already had their quest. I get it that the dream came to, like, Percy, but, like, if Clarice was well suited to go, which TBD, if she really is. Like, I agree with, like, giving someone else a shot, but, like, I think they should have brought them with them.
yes.
So, like, this time I see
Well,
but
because
also
logically, if you're going on an ocean quest, like your first choice of companion should be Percy, like the son of the sea god. Like it's dumb. Regardless of whether or not
Mm-hmm.
you like him, like you can be civil enough to do what's best for the quest.
To save camp.
apparently not.
But apparently not. Apparently not. Then, they start arguing about the quest and whatever. And so then to shut them up, Tantalus tells them the story of how he got punished. It's because he killed his children and served them to the gods in a stew.
You know what would be great is making that guy a camp director for children. Probably won't cook any of them, right?
Well, and like he stole from the gods, so they banned him from Olympus. And so then he's like, "Oh, best course of action is for me to kill my children." Like that feels like more of a punishment for you, dude. Like they're your kids. I guess if you really hate your kid.
I need to look up his story because that whole thing is so unnecessary.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. They send off Clarice to go to the Oracle, and we don't really get any follow-up on that. We can assume she got a prophecy. Percy kind of heads to bed, and he tries to reassure Tyson, but also he's like, I don't know what to do. And he's also kind of worried he's going to have a dream, so instead he goes to the beach. He takes his little smuggled sodas and is hanging out on the beach, and then this jogger shows up and asks if he can join him. And it's not until later that it's revealed that it is Hermes, but I do have to comment on the fact that he has on a New York City Marathon shirt. And Christina, I don't know if I've told you the New York City Marathon story. Have I?
Which story? I know you did it.
I did the Philadelphia Marathon.
Oh, you're gonna do it. Oh, that's my bad.
I don't think I've told you the New York City Marathon story, so buckle up. I'm telling the Hermes story again. So picture this, you are me. It is November of 2022, November 7th to be specific. It's the day after the New York City Marathon. I'm watching TikTok. It's full of videos from the marathon, and I'm watching them like, could I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I haven't run more than 3 miles ever in my life. And so I'm sending these videos to my friend Sydney, and I'm like, we could do this. Like, we could totally do this. And that is also the day that all of a sudden they announced that Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to be in the Percy Jackson show. And I wouldn't say that I had like a negative reaction to that news. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is gonna be terrible. It just like felt so unhinged and like out of left field that I was like, okay, so like I can run a marathon. Like I'm gonna run a marathon. And so $255 later, and I am now signed up to run the 2024 New York City Marathon. So thank you, Lin-Manuel Miranda, for my silly new little hobby, and that is marathon running.
Well, it's also, I think you had told me it's really hard to actually like get in, right? So you had to be like, so this guy,
yeah, it is.
granted he's a god, so he can probably manipulate his way in, but like he had to do a lot of the admin work.
Yeah, questions about how Hermes managed to get into the New York City Marathon. Did he run for a charity? Did he manage to get in through the lottery? Did he do the whole run 9 races, volunteer, 9+1 situation? That's what I did. Many questions. Or maybe he's just wearing the shirt because he's sort of the god of like running. Many questions. But it does give me a little giggle now when he shows up in the New York City Marathon shirt. But also, it will send me over the edge if they ever put Lin-Manuel Miranda in a New York City Marathon shirt in the show. I don't think that I can handle that. Just personally. I don't know why that would send me over the edge, but it would. It would.
It would all be coming together, Full circle. That's what.
Anyway, the snakes, George and Martha, icons.
They freak me out, I gotta be honest.
Oh, I see. I'm a critter kind of girl, so I love snakes. I think snakes are so
Yeah.
cool.
I really like when they unhinge their jaw and vomit up things. It's really nice. I'd be like, gummy vitamins.
Cool.
Yes. I also like that Percy's first thought when Hermes like turns the phone into his little caduceus thing, Percy goes, "Oh, you're Luke's dad." Like,
yeah.
And Hermes is like, I don't usually get it. Like, that's not usually the first thing people say. He's like, are you going to go on this quest? We get the thermos and the bottle of chewy vitamins. And these are also from mythology. We'll get into it when we use the gifts, but
I'll be honest, I always think about during the scene, it's like not super related, but I always think about in the Disney Hercules movie when he's like sipping on that like Hercules drink, like my 10-year-old brain thought of like that as a thermos and of like a little sippy cup. And then I was like, oh, what if they had those silly little shoes? And that's always where my brain went during the scene. And
love that movie.
Good movie. Hades is iconic. No, like nobody will ever top that portrayal of Hades. Like I love the blue hair. I love him.
Hades Town. Hades has my heart forever.
Okay, fair. JK. Yeah, you're right. I can't.
Kind of the last thing to talk about is the way that Hermes says he's helping Percy because Percy has a chance to save more than just Grover on this quest. And I love the way Percy's like, if you mean Luke,
Not happening.
not just no, but hell no. Like, Luke, that is not happening. Luke cannot be saved. Absolutely not. And Hermes says, you can't give up on family, but sure you can. Like, if your family sucks and tried to kill you with a scorpion, like, you have permission to not want to try to save them anymore. Like,
also start like a war between the gods. Just it's very little redemption value there.
Also, like, what does he expect Percy to do for Luke? Like, they're gonna fight each other. Luke is too far gone.
I think coming from his father might mean more. Like Hermes reaching out to Luke, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and especially when his whole like driving thing is like, I hate the gods because my dad is a deadbeat and sucks. Like,
yeah. It feels like Hermes is like, I never liked this part, and like I did not like Hermes very much. Like, I don't have a ton of opinions on the gods. I think they're all deadbeat parents, but I didn't like him that much because I felt like he was trying to like force Percy to like do his dirty work, which they all do, but like specifically in that sense, I was like, no, that is your relationship to mend. What do you expect Percy to do for you right now? Just be like, hey, Luke, the gods actually aren't that bad, except for the fact that they are. Like, that's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I also think at this point it's too little too late. Like, I don't know that anything Hermes could do would
that's fair.
Convince like, because Luke is like 20 at this point. Like, his dad has not been a part of his life for all of it. It would be like, okay, why now? Why now have you decided that you want to be a part of my life? No, go away.
And I agree. But again, what is Percy gonna do?
Right, but it's also like, it's not Percy's job. Like, it's kind of no one can convince Luke at this point. Like, Luke is gonna do Luke, and I'm gonna hate him for it.
I've heard a lot of things about how Percy and Luke can be like two sides of the same coin, which I really like getting down that rabbit trail, but that's like way later.
Oh, I have said that many times on this podcast. Oh, okay. Actually, mostly just when we were talking about the show, when I was free to spoil things because Julie wasn't there.
I was like, I don't remember you saying that, Mal. Like, I don't remember that.
Well, I stand by that.
That's Christina's idea.
Okay, Christina came up with that. Cool, that's fine. It's cool.
I did. It's completely original, 100% up here. I've never had an original thought in my life, so let's just be honest about
that. To wrap everything up, Hermes like shows Percy's packed everything up. Annabeth and Tyson are on their way. He directs Percy to the big old cruise ship that's out in the water, and you know what that means? This is about to become a boat book.
Boat book.
And so Percy he's like, I have 5 minutes to make this impossible decision whether or not I'm gonna go. So personally, I don't think he's gonna go. How about you?
I mean, being eaten by harpies or go on a quest that you already wanted to go on.
Can we bring out like the FanDuel Sportsbook? I want to get the odds on this.
Any other thoughts on these chapters before we do your next chapter predictions, Julie?
Yeah, one thing. So you know how they're doing all the dishes, but it's in lava?
Yes.
Yeah, but they're wearing asbestos gloves. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Are they wearing gloves made out of asbestos? What the hell?
I guess so. Was 2006 before we knew asbestos was bad?
I'm about to Google that very specific.
I feel like we've known for a while. I was just reading asbestos gloves and I was like, that's not good. I'd rather have the lava, honestly.
Also, if it's lava, surely it would be like disintegrating your plates.
Yeah, what are these plates made out of?
See, again, when I was like reading these things, it's so funny, like the way you like process as a kid versus like again as an adult. So like when I always read that scene, I always thought of it as the floor was lava and they were sitting on these chairs and putting the plates on the ground and like rubbing them around. And they picked them up and put them over here. And I just pictured Tyson like kneeling on the ground, just like having like a little bath in the lava while he's. There's no description of any of that in the book, but that is always what I thought of. And so again, I'm like, oh no, they're just cleaning plates like normal people. They're just using like scalding Lava.
That's amazing. I mean, when I read this, I didn't know what asbestos was, so.
I didn't even remember it mentioned asbestos, so.
Okay. Julie, are you ready for your predictions? Because I'm very excited to hear your predictions for chapter 10.
Yes. Okay. First, I have two generic predictions before we get into chapter titles.
Okay, great.
One, I think Percy's going to have to save Clarice at some point. I think she's going to get in trouble or something, and then Percy saves the day. All right, that's what I want to happen. I would like that very much. Because I love when Clarice gets humbled. It's my favorite thing.
Where do you hate women?
I do. I am a misogynist. I hate to break it to you guys, but
I knew it.
It's true. And then I think Annabeth was attacked in the past by a Cyclops. And that's why she doesn't like them. And maybe it was during one of the rounds of when she was running away from home, or her dad and her stepmom sent her away or something, because all these monsters kept showing up at their house or whatever happened in like wasn't that like she kept getting, or she was running away? I don't remember exactly in the first book, but I think one of those incidents might have been her getting attacked by a Cyclops, which is why she doesn't like Tyson, or she's like freaked out by him. Okay, so chapter 8, we board the Princess Andromeda. I have boat time. Very excited. I just have notes about because I looked up Andromeda because I only know it from the Andromeda Galaxy, and then I found out about the myth of Andromeda, how Perseus saves Andromeda from sea monsters, from being sacrificed to sea monsters, and they get married. Obviously, the last two things aren't going to happen, but I'm like, is he going to somehow save the ship from being attacked? I don't know. That's what I have for that one. Chapter 9, I have the worst family reunion ever. I wrote, so I was doing this morning at work. That can't be good. Does the trio get into more trouble with Cyclopses, which is how I'm saying it? Because technically they're children of Poseidon, right? Poseidon and whatever the other thing is. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, nature spirits, I think. Yeah.
Yes. So they'd be like more of Percy's half siblings, I guess, technically. And then chapter 10, we hitch a ride with dead Confederates. Is this a Civil War? It's like, is there like a ghost ship of Confederate soldiers or something that they're that's what I have. A Confederate ship crashed, or whatever happens in the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know what happens to ships that get caught in the Bermuda Triangle during the Civil War, and then the trio like hitch a ride with this ghost ship of Confederate soldiers. That's what I have.
Amazing. Yeah. So this was fun. Christina, we definitely have to have you back because this was excellent.
Absolutely.
It was fun chatting. Yes, I would love to, because then we're gonna get into some more fun chapters that actually aren't my least favorite.
Yes. You have to come back to redeem yourself after the worst chapters.
Throw me in Battle of the Labyrinth or The Last Olympian. I think you can guess which chapters I'm talking about. Well, there's actually a lot in there.
There is a string of like 3 chapters of Battle of the Labyrinth that I feel like is peak literature, actually, and so
I would happy to return at any time. And also, Julie, it's really fun hearing perspectives from someone that hasn't like been ingrained in this since they were a kid. Like, it's very fresh, and like you like find new things. I'm like, oh, like I didn't even think about it. So like, this is like fun.
Thanks for hanging out, y'all. This has been a great time. See you next time for chapters 8, 9, and 10. Bye.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, thanks for listening. We've got more Sea of Monsters content coming for the next few weeks with some awesome repeat guests and also some fresh voices. But in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at DemigodDebutPod. See you next time. Bye!